everyone, this is Outstar and welcome to another game dev related video. This time I want to tell you a little story about how Hello Bobby! What are you doing? Look how he grew! Shake, shake, Bobby! There we go, it's my boy! That's my boy! That's my boy, you're cute. I want to tell you a story about how I made a game in 72 hours. A roguelike game which was surprisingly well received. And I really hope that my story will inspire you to make something like that yourself. So some of you may not be aware of what Ludum Dare is. Ludum Dare is the longest going, one of the biggest online game jams in the history of game jams. And what is a game jam, you ask? Well, a game jam is an event in which a lot of game developers gather to make a game from scratch. Usually not one game, but a lot of little games that everyone is making by themselves. You have a certain theme, you have a deadline, which is usually either 48 or 72 hours or maybe a week. And you gotta fit your game making process in that deadline, which really pushes your creativity, your learning skills and everything. It's literally the best thing for the starting people in gaming industry, for people who want to test out what they actually can do, and very fast training session on all the problems that you may stumble upon when you will actually, in the future, maybe run a studio. I can't recommend game jams enough. They are just an extremely good opportunity to test your own skills. So I decided that after, 41 editions of Ludum Dare, I should finally take part in one as well. I did take part in other game jams in the past. One of my favorite ones was the Slavic game jam, because what is better than a bunch of Slavs stuck in one place making video games? The smell was amazing. So I gathered my little team and we decided for the last Ludum Dare to make a game in a group. You can also make a game alone. There is a special category of the jam called the Compo, where you have to make a game in 48 hours totally alone and you cannot use any pre-made assets. We went the easier way. We had 72 hours, we have 3 people, including me, and we could actually use some pre-made assets, which we did use because we didn't make the music and sounds ourselves. So we gathered on the first day when they were supposed to announce the theme. The theme was announced at midnight our time, so we had to stay late at night. We decided that on that particular day, the first evening, we will make up the idea for the game, and then the moment we wake up next day, we are going to work hard on that. We gathered on Discord and we started talking. So the team consists of me. I am mostly an artist, as you guys probably know. I was an animator in some studios. I was doing concept art, graphics, I came to pixel art. I knew that my strength is pretty much designing very quick animations in a short time and doing some nice graphic things. That's what I'm strong at. But I also would see myself in design if needed, and I would love to learn more how to program and implement games. That was my approach to jam. Then I had my friend who is making right now a game with me in general. We are making a fridge dating sim for some decent time right now. It's a very big game actually. And he joined me as a programmer. And then my husband wanted to join as well. He is the UX and UI designer who can draw, do some very, very nice UI, but he also knows something about programming and he can actually code way better than me. With this team, we felt that we actually can do something decent, and we started to make up the ideas as soon as the theme hit. The theme for this Ludum Dare was running out of space. We had a lot of ideas, so we decided that maybe the best approach will be to write our ideas at first, like everyone shares 5 ideas, and then we vote on which ones we like the most. So we had ideas like running out of space on C drive, running out of space in your mail inbox, running out of space on the screen, so everything is shrinking. You get the drill. We have a lot of ideas, but then we decided that maybe these were like things that were the first things that came to our minds. So a lot of people are going to make games like that. And it actually turned out to be true. There are a lot of games in this Ludum Dare where the space is shrinking, or where you, for example, have files on your C drive, or letters in your mail, or food in your stomach, and the space is shrinking slowly. So then my husband, he suddenly wrote an idea, and we were like, holy shit, this sounds really good. And the idea was RPG Inventory Management Simulator. When we play Morrowind, Skyrim, Witcher, we always hoard items and we never want to let them go. So then the inventory management happens where we have to throw some stuff out, usually because of the weight. But what if the actual inventory space was limited and you have to rotate the items together and fit them like in a very elaborate RPG Tetris game. So that was our idea that everyone liked, and we started talking about how to implement it. So my friend 8-Bit, he wanted to make the game in Unity, and he started downloading a lot of like ready-made libraries and assets for inventory systems in Unity. But obviously the inventory systems in Unity, when you Google something like that, you will find things that are kind of ready done for the RPG games. And I thought that maybe it's too much of an elaborate way to do it. Like, why do we have to use an actual inventory system which works in a video game, while the game that we wanted to make was basically a Tetris puzzle game with RPG theme. So we went to sleep not knowing if we really are capable of doing this project, but I was sure that this can be done simpler. When the boys were already settled on, okay, let's go back to the idea of the space shrinking, let's make a platformer game. That's the easiest thing we can do, we can for sure make it. I was like, okay, but let me try. So I woke up earlier than everyone else. I woke up at 7 a.m. I woke my dog, I went back in here, and I downloaded the Game Maker. And I downloaded the Game Maker Studio, which before, on the same week, I made a very special game in, okay? That was my first game in Game Maker. I made it on stream. I never made anything else in Game Maker, and I was very proud of it. So, understanding the very basics of Game Maker, I started to make a very simple prototype of the game that we were supposed to do. So I made the Tetris-like blocks, which were rotatable and they were stopping the grid. When the boys woke up, I just sent this to them and said, guys, I made a prototype in Game Maker. If you guys want to do it, that's what I did. You know that I'm the least talented of all of you in terms of programming, but I did this. So I'm quite sure that with your help, we can do something way better. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. I'm very happy that we stick with that idea and that I actually kind of fought my inner fear that I can't program, I can't really do stuff like this, but then I tried and it actually worked somehow. And based on this prototype, I started to make the game. And funny enough, I was always the art person in the team. I was always the person who actually makes the graphics, who paints, who draws, who animates. But in this particular case, I did do some animations which are visible on the left side of the screen in the game, but I was actually mainly programming it, and I was mainly doing the implementation of the whole project, which was something very new to me and something that really opened my head to the whole idea that, hey, I'm not entirely useless in that. And that's why I really love game jams, because they really show you that you can do more than you think you can. So we managed to finish the game in those 72 hours. We uploaded it online and it started to get tons of traction online. A lot of people were playing it. Some people were actually commenting that they played our game for 3, 4, 8 hours, which was crazy considering how little this game is. We get featured in some amazing top Ludum Dare games, videos and articles. Each IO, which is the place where we can upload your games, actually posted us an article of 3 best games of Ludum Dare, and there are over 3,000 games that were uploaded there. I was so freaking happy. Of course, not everything went right, and I really want to share a little post-mortem with you about this game, what went really good, what went not really good. So let's start about the bad sides. I think we didn't plan out the group work too well, and we went way overboard in some places and we didn't put enough work in the others. For example, my wonderful husband, which I was slapping constantly during that game jam, he made over 90 items that you can rotate. He painted them by hand on a freaking piece of paper, then he scanned it, he colored them, and he was making the sprites ready for the game. This ended up with over 90 assets that I had to implement in the game. I think that was way too much for a little game like this, but you know, at least the variety is huge. And instead of doing this many items and implementing them in the game, we could actually spend some more time in playtesting the game. Because we didn't playtest it enough. We did test out the very beginning of the game and how it works, and if we die too often or we don't die too often. We tried to tweak the difficulty a bit so it is not too hard for the starters, it's not too easy either. And we totally didn't test out the endgame meta. Now, let me just quickly explain to you what the game is about. The game is about inventory management, where you have to rotate the randomly appearing items and match them in your inventory or equipment. Sometimes a very big and clunky items are appearing, and then you have to quickly sort them out, because if there's any collision after the chest even happens, your items disappear. So my wonderful Discord folks who are playing the game very quickly realized that big items are absolutely useless. And the meta for the game is just to use the little items like rings. We had to actually fix the game a bit after the initial release and upload another version with nerfed rings, because people were really breaking the game with that. Another thing that went not so well is that we sticked with the initial controls I made in my prototype. The prototype controls I made was WSAD for moving the items and mouse click to choose them, which I think could be easily done with mouse only. You could just drag and drop them, but we didn't implement it because we based it on the very early prototype I did. Another thing that we could improve was the combat. So the combat events were happening very much automatically. When the enemy appears, the battle appears mathematically in the background. It compares his stats to the stats of your items. Unfortunately, it didn't give any feedback to the player on what actually is happening, what exactly are the numbers in the background. There was no little log which showed you that, and nothing happened. So when you had few combat events in a row, you couldn't really do anything. You were sitting like this with your hands up and you were just watching the combat to happen. It was quite boring in the long run. What went good though? Well, the game is pretty playable and I feel it's still good. A lot of people are actually giving us a lot of positive feedback about it. And it is a very good base for a game that we can work on in the future. We actually established a Trello board in which we are sharing the feedback that other people are sending to us, and we are comparing what people are saying about it when there's the same feedback from few people. Like, for example, a lot of people are saying that controls could be different, a lot of people are saying that they want something more from the combat. We are writing it down and we will actually change it for the final version of the game. I feel we are all very happy about making this particular game because it's not really just a jam game, it's something that we can in the future make into a full-blown release. So yeah, right now we are establishing the art direction on how we wanna finish it up, because the current art in the game is pretty mixed up. There's my pixel art versus my husband's very funny cartoony drawings. We need to establish something more coherent. I think we need to sum up the ideas that we have for the game, and we gotta make this game available for both PC and mobile. So we'll be for sure working on that, and if you guys want to test out our game and check out how it works, then there's a link below the video. Feel free to leave me a comment either here or on itch if you liked it or didn't like it. If you have any feedback, criticism, anything, I will be very grateful for anything. Actually, we received a very lengthy comments with tons of things that could be improved. These are the most helpful things we are receiving, really. They're awesome. And yeah, I cannot recommend Game Jams enough to you guys. As you see, we made this game in 72 hours from the scratch. This is something that we can put in our portfolio, we can work on it further, we can show it to our future employees, whatever. You guys can do the same in your house, on your PC, using tutorials available online, using the ready-made resources. Go find the team, because the next Ludum Dare happens in December. And I would love to see you guys doing something in there. That was all for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I know that you probably want me to make a video about Cyberpunk gameplay reaction, don't you? I would love to do one if you guys are okay with that. I have some little criticism towards the current version of the game, so I hope you guys will forgive me for that. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining today, and I hope you will have a stellar week. Goodbye.